All right. We're going to go ahead and call the State Allocation Board meeting to order. It is 3:06. This meeting, for those of you not online, this meeting is also being held in person at the auditorium. Okay, perfect, thank you. Sorry, let me start that one over. You ready for my mouthful? Okay. This meeting is being held in person in the auditorium of the East End Complex located at 1500 Capitol Avenue, as well as from several additional locations noted in the meeting agenda and notice for anyone that would like to provide public comment in person. This meeting is also being conducted by way of Zoom meeting for members of the public that would like to participate remotely. In order for this meeting to run efficiently for those participating remotely, please note the following guidelines. 1, all attendees will be muted during the meeting. If any member of the public would like to make a comment, please use the raise hand feature in the Zoom meeting interface. I will call your name at the appropriate time, and OPSC staff will request to unmute you. Number 2, if you are calling into the meeting and not using a computer or the Zoom application on a mobile device, unfortunately, you will be unable to provide public comment at this time. Before we start with our agenda items today, I did just want to take a moment to thank one of our former board members, Senator Wilk, who is joining us online today. Thank you, Senator. And wanted just to take a moment to acknowledge his dedication and service as a member of the State Allocation Board. Senator Wilk recently just left the legislature and is probably enjoying some well-deserved downtime. But just as way of background, Senator Wilk was appointed to serve as a member of the State Allocation Board on January 18th, 2019. His first meeting was on January 23rd, 2019, and during his tenure on the board, he assisted the board in making apportionments and unfunded approvals for over $9.031 billion, that's billion with a B, representing over 2,767 projects for the school facility program and other programs administered by the board. Senator Wilk also assisted the board in making apportionments in the amount of $683.3 million, representing 205 projects, for a total of 857 preschool, transitional kindergarten, and full-day kindergarten classrooms for the program. Amongst many significant actions approved by the State Allocation Board during his tenure, Senator Wilk helped shape policy amidst the unprecedented challenges of COVID-19 that led to decisions enabling the board to establish emergency powers for the executive officer, which allowed for the continued processing of school districts' construction projects. We want to thank Senator Wilk for his commitment, dedication, and service to this board, as well as to the citizens of the state of California. Senator Wilk's support to the State Allocation Board has elevated the success of the Office of Public School Construction's core purpose, which is to enrich the lives of California's school children as stewards of the taxpayers' commitment to education. And I would just note that while he's joining us remotely, we did have the opportunity to present Senator Wilk with a resolution from the board last month prior to his departure. And at this time, if we could just provide a round of applause and thanks to the senator. Can you hear us, Senator Wilk?
I couldn't hear Al clap. Did Al clap? I didn't hear him.
Oh, okay. Let's do it again.
Well, anyway, thank you so much. It was, in fact, you need to, Rebecca, go on my Wikipedia page and add all that. That's pretty impressive. I wish we could have spent more money, but so I'm not going to be there for the great ride that you guys are about to have. But I just really appreciated the opportunity to serve. So much appreciate the staff there. You guys do an incredible job, and too often government workers, employees, whatever you want to call them, are derided by the public because they don't understand the competence and the diligence it takes to do the work that you do. So I want to thank all of you. And I want to especially do a shout out to Lisa, who's been with me since the beginning and helped guide me. And I'm going to miss my fellow legislators. I guess David's on, but I don't see him. But really, again, appreciate the opportunity. Very happy about the bond measure passing. I will tell you, I was actually, just as a regular person, working hard to get that bond measure passed. I have taken on my first client, and it's the Building Industry Association of Southern California. So representing home builders, we were very much involved in making sure that in fact passed. So with that, thank you so much. And I'll be up in Sacramento every now and then, and hopefully our paths will cross again.
Thank you, Senator. If you hold on 1 second, it looks like maybe Assemblymember Marisucci, you might have had a comment. Go ahead.
Oh, yes, thank you very much. I just want to say that I've really enjoyed working with Senator Wilk. Scott, you're definitely one of the good guys. You know, even though we may come from different political parties, I've always enjoyed and respected you. Enjoyed working with you, and we're going to miss you on the allocation board. But sounds like we'll be in touch. So
Absolutely, thank you, Al. I feel the same way.
All right.
Great, thank you. Thank you again, Senator, and enjoy a much-deserved a break from public office. We appreciate everything you
All
do.
right. Good luck, everybody.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
All right, so moving on, just to note, the board will not be meeting in closed session today. So Ms. Jones, will you please go ahead and call the roll, noting any members joining us from a remote location, please?
Certainly. Senator Newman? Assemblymember Marisucci?
Here remotely.
Thank you. Teleconference location?
Do you need the address? My district office in Torrance?
No, I have it. I'm just making it for the record. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Thank you. Assemblymember Davies?
Here, and I'm in the San Juan Capistrano Satellite Office.
Great. Thank you so much. Assemblymember Alvarez?
I am present here in San Diego.
Appreciate that. Juan Morales?
Here.
Ana Lasso?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm present at the Junipero Cerro State Office Building in downtown Los Angeles.
Thank you. Jeremy Smith?
Here.
Michelle Pearl?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that. With that, we'll go ahead and move on to our next order of business, which is the minutes from the October 23rd, 2024 meeting. Are there any comments or questions from the board members on the minutes? Seeing none online, seeing none here. Are there any public comments on the minutes? Seeing none here in the room or online. Is there a motion to adopt the minutes? It's been moved by Mr. Smith.
Second.
And second by Assemblymember Marisucci. Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Certainly. Assemblymember Marisucci? Sorry.
Aye.
Marisucci, aye. Assemblymember Davies?
Aye.
Davies, aye. Assemblymember Alvarez?
Aye.
Alvarez, aye. Juan Morales?
Aye.
Morales, aye. Jeremy Smith?
Aye.
Smith, aye. Ana Lasso?
Hi.
Lasso, aye. Michelle Peralt?
Aye, thank
Peralt,
you.
Aye. With that, motion carries.
Thank you so much. With that, we'll go ahead and move on to our next order of business, which is the executive officer statement. Rebecca?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The executive officer statement is on today's agenda on stamped pages 9 and 10. We have several updates. Firstly, the outcome of Proposition 2 and some items regarding future planning. I'm pleased to announce that subject to the certification of the election results by the California Secretary of State on December 13th, Proposition 2, the kindergarten through grade 12 schools and local community college public education facilities modernization, repair, and safety bond act of 2024 appears to have been approved by a majority of California's voters in the November 5th, 2024 election. Today's agenda does include an action item for the board's consideration regarding initial implementation of Proposition 2. Over the course of the next year, OPSC staff will conduct a series of stakeholder meetings on behalf of the board to propose regulatory amendments to implement Proposition 2. After discussions with stakeholders, staff will present the recommended regulatory amendments to the board for consideration and approval, followed by a submittal of the regulations to the Office of Administrative Law. As previously announced, school districts may continue to submit school facility program applications for funding for new construction and modernization projects on an ongoing basis. Following certification of the election results by December 13th, OPSC will update the workload list and applications received beyond bond authority list to reflect the availability of additional bond authority from Proposition 2. I'd also like to announce an upcoming charter school facility program filing round. Proposition 2 authorizes $600 million for the program. Existing program regulations specify that the program has a 120 calendar day filing round that begins 180 calendar days after an election that authorizes additional funding for the program. Accordingly, subject to certification of the election results, a new filing round for the Charter School Facility Program will open on May 4th, 2025 through August 31st, 2025. OPSC will soon announce dates for webinars on the program and the application process. I'd also like to share that the proposed emergency regulatory amendments the board approved at the September 25th, 2024 meeting, which authorize extended fund release deadlines for certain projects pertaining to school facilities located on military installation, have been approved with an effective date of November 1st, 2024. We do currently have the 28th priority funding filing round open, which closes on December 12th, 2024. Certifications submitted by charter school applicants during this filing round will be valid from January 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2025. Finally, I also wanted to note that the California State Auditor released a report on November 19th, 2024, regarding custodial staffing and cleanliness standards at California's public schools. In part, the audit report recommends that OPSC engage a stakeholder process by October 2025 to update the facility inspection tool with a target completion date by October 2026, considering specific recommendations from the state auditor that are intended to increase the accuracy of facility inspection tool reporting by local educational agencies. OPSC is committed to pursuing improvements to the facility inspection tool to facilitate accurate and transparent evaluations of school facilities at the local level. In accordance with the state auditor's recommendations, we plan to engage stakeholders regarding the recommended changes to the facility inspection tool for consideration in the future by the State Allocation Board. Finally, the next meeting of the State Allocation Board is scheduled for Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025, and I'm pleased to address any questions.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Are there any comments or questions from board members on the executive officer statement? Okay, seeing none. Are there any public comments about the executive officer statement? Not seeing a rush to the microphone here, none online. Okay, so this is not an action item, so we'll go ahead and Ms. Kirk, if you'd please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Today's consent agenda begins on stamped page 11 and goes through stamped page 170 of the agenda. I'd be happy to address any questions and request that the board approve the consent agenda.
Great, thank you so much. Are there any comments or questions from board members?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, seeing no
Second.
comments. Okay, we'll take that first and second, but real quick before we do that, are there any public comments on the consent agenda? Okay, not seeing any. We do have a motion by Assemblymember Davies, a second by Assemblymember Marisucci. Secretary, if you'll please call the roll.
Assemblymember Marisucci?
Aye.
Marisucci, aye. Assemblymember Davies?
Aye.
Davies, aye. Assemblymember Alvarez?
Aye.
Alvarez, aye. Juan Morales?
Aye.
Morales, aye. Jeremy Smith?
Aye.
Smith, aye. Ana Lasso?
Aye.
Lasso, aye. Michelle Peralt?
Aye.
Peralt, aye. That motion carries.
Thank you so much. We'll go ahead and move on to the next order of business, which is the financial reports. Ms. Kirk?
Thank you. The financial reports are on stamped pages 171 through 190 of today's agenda, reflecting available funds as of December 3rd, 2024. Pleased to address any questions.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from board members? Okay, seeing none. Are there any public comments on this item? Okay, seeing none. This is not an action item, so we'll go ahead and proceed to the next order of business, which is our appeals item.
All right, thank you. I'm on stamp page 191 or PDF page 212 for those following along. This appeal is for Lompoc School District down in Santa Barbara County. This district's appeal request involves the request for accelerated processing, direct apportionment, and 18 months request, their fund release requests for two projects on the Manzanita Public Charter School site on Vandenberg Space Works Space down in Santa Barbara. Board's approval of the request would provide approximately $7.9 million towards the district's matching share towards their public school and military installations projects on a military basis. There are two projects on this involved here. The first one is a charter school project. The board previously approved a priority funding apportionment at the September board meeting. With this approval, the board would be rescinding that apportionment and providing a direct apportionment under the new regulations. The other project is a modernization project for a gym multipurpose room hybrid project on the same site. The project's worth approximately $1 million. Met President, with the passage of Proposition 2 that provides approximately $4 billion to the modernization program. We do know that we have $3.4 billion roughly in modernization projects on our workload and applications received beyond bond authority list. So we would be skipping ahead, but consistent with the board's past prior actions on these types of projects for funding on military bases, staff is recommending approval for this project. The district is on the call if the board has any questions, and I'd be happy to entertain any as well.
Great, thank you so much. As noted, the district and the representatives, I believe, have joined us via Zoom. Mr. Douglas Sorum, the Assistant Superintendent, and Mr. Todd Jesperson, I hope I'm saying that correctly, the district architect. I didn't know if you wanted to provide any comments. Oh, if you'd like to make comments, go ahead and unmute your mics.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to give comment. I just very quickly would like to say thank you to all the hardworking folks at OPSC who have diligently worked with the district on this PSMI project at the Manzanita Public Charter School, and also would thank the board in advance for their consideration this afternoon.
Great, thank you. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Okay, seeing none. Are there any public comments on this item? Okay, I'm seeing none. This is an action item, so is there a motion on the appeal?
Motion.
Motion by Assemblymember Davies, is there a second?
Second.
Second, didn't catch who that was. Hopefully you did.
Alvarez.
Oh, thank you, Assemblymember Alvarez, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Certainly. Assemblymember Marisucci?
Aye.
Marisucci, aye. Assemblymember Davies?
Aye.
Davies, aye. Assemblymember Alvarez?
Aye.
Alvarez, aye. Juan Morales?
Aye.
Morales, aye. Jeremy Smith?
Aye.
Smith, aye. Ana Lasso?
Aye.
Lasso, aye. Michelle Peralt?
Aye.
Peralt, aye. And that motion does carry.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Right now, we'll go ahead and move on to our action items. We do have one action item before the board. Ms. Skirk?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The action item with proposed board policies for initial implementation of Proposition 2 for the school facility program begins on stamped page 218 of today's agenda. A majority of California voters appear to have approved Proposition 2, which provides $8.5 billion in bond proceeds for the construction and modernization of transitional kindergarten through 12th grade public school facilities. Prop 2 specifically allocates $3.3 billion for new construction, $4 billion for modernization, and $600 million each for the Charter School Facilities Program and the Career Technical Education Facilities Program. Proposition 2 also makes numerous changes to the school facility program. In part, Proposition 2 specifies that school facility program applications received before October 31st, 2024 will be processed in accordance with the statutes as they read on January 1st, 2024. Applications submitted on or after October 31st, 2024 are subject to the changes in Proposition 2. Today's item proposes to set board policy on several aspects of Proposition 2 that the board may wish to address immediately to provide school districts and stakeholders necessary guidance for the continued submittal of funding applications. It is important to note that this item is intended to seek board guidance on the most critical components for initial implementation and is not all-inclusive of all aspects of Proposition 2. Stakeholder input and feedback will be critical to inform implementation of many of the aspects of Proposition 2. As previously indicated, OPSC will hold a series of stakeholder meetings beginning in early 2025 to gather input regarding and informing proposed regulatory changes to subsequently present to the board for consideration and approval. Attachment C on stamped page 274 of today's agenda presents estimated timelines for the implementation of Proposition 2 over the following year. Today's item presents 9 specific topics regarding initial implementation of Proposition 2. Attachment B presents a table that summarizes each topic, the associated requirements of Proposition 2, and informational updates and/or recommended board policies. I'll provide a high-level summary of those 9 topics on Attachment B, which are explained in additional detail in the cover item. Topic 1 is informational, and there's no action requested or recommended by the or for the board at this point. Topic number 1 is related to new construction and modernization program authority set-asides. Proposition 2 authorizes up to 10% of the funding allocated for new construction and modernization can be available to support small school districts. Proposition 2 also authorizes up to $115 million from Modernization Authority to address remediation of lead in water. Additionally, Proposition 2 provides $5 million for a grant to the California Department of Education from New Construction and/or Modernization Authority for specified purposes. Staff will present options to the board at a future meeting regarding amounts to be set aside from funds authorized for Proposition 2 for these purposes, as well as for necessary administrative costs. Topic number 2 relates to unfunded approvals and priority funding apportionments. Topic 2 is also informational, and there's no recommended action for the board at this time. In recent years, the board has been able to provide direct apportionments for new construction and modernization projects due to the availability of general fund proceeds for the program. Once remaining general fund proceeds are exhausted in early 2025, staff will present applications to the board for consideration of unfunded approvals. Pursuant to our existing regulations, upon the board providing an unfunded approval, projects will be placed on the unfunded list for lack of AB 55 loans and must participate in the existing the existing priority funding process. Topic number 3 is the requirement in Proposition 2 for school districts to submit a 5-year school facility master plan as a condition of participation in the school facility program. For this topic, we do have policies recommended for the board. The staff recommendation for each of the policies that I'll outline in this item essentially would be for the board to adopt recommended policies in order to provide information and consistent expectations to school districts and stakeholders so that they can continue submitting applications and that would apply to applications that we've already received beginning October 31st, 2024. These policies would be in place until such time that staff brings back recommended regulatory amendments following the series of stakeholder meetings in 2025. Specific to topic 3 on 5-year school facility master plans, staff's recommended policies pertain to the timing when districts would be required to submit the required school facility master plan. Proposition 2 requires submittal as a condition of participation in the school facility program, but does not specify when it must be submitted by a school district. Staff's recommended policies differentiate between 3 groups of projects. Firstly, facility hardship and seismic mitigation program applications. These applications are from districts that are seeking state funding to address an imminent health and safety issue with the facility. They currently receive first priority for processing and funding under the program. Our proposal for the recommended policy by the board for these projects would be to require the master plan to be submitted with the substantial progress certification for construction of the project, which is due 18 months following fund release, or upon submittal of the 100% complete expenditure report, whichever occurs first. Essentially, this would provide any applications for facility hardship and seismic mitigation program funding the opportunity to go through the application process, access state funds for an eligible project, and proceed with addressing the imminent health and safety issue, while at the same time and subsequently having time to develop the required 5-year school facility master plan. Part of the policy that is recommended additionally would include requiring districts in the meantime to submit a governing board resolution that acknowledges this submittal timeline and that their project may ultimately be rescinded for failure to submit a master plan with the required components by the timeline specified. The second group of projects in our recommended policy is for new construction and modernization applications received October 31st, 2024 through 12 months following the formal adoption of regulations approved by the Office of Administrative Law. So for applications submitted during that timeline, the recommended board policy is that we require school districts to submit the master plan at the time the application is processed. Consistent with current practice, OPSC staff would provide a 90-day notification prior to beginning processing. It is important to note that due to provisions in Proposition 2 that grandfather applications received on or before October 30th, 2024, under the statutes in place as of January 1st, 2024, if we continue processing at our recent rates, it will take approximately 2 to 3 years for staff to process those grandfathered applications. Therefore, this recommended policy would provide school districts submitting new construction and modernization applications approximately 2 to 3 years to develop a 5-year master plan or update a 5-year master plan with the required elements in Proposition 2. The final group of projects for Topic 3 is new construction and modernization applications that are received more than 12 months following the Office of Administrative Law's formal approval of regulations on this topic. For these applications, staff suggests and recommends a policy that the master plan would be submitted at the time the application is submitted to the Office of Public School Construction. At that point in time, districts would have already also had a period of time spanning 1 year after the formal regulations have been developed, which would be likely at least 2 years from today. Moving to Topic 4. Topic 4 pertains to the required local matching share and a calculation that is prescribed in Proposition 2 for the sliding scale of the required matching share for the state and local contributions to new construction and modernization projects. Staff has recommended a board policy basically identifying 4 data points that are necessary for staff to conduct the calculation that is required in Proposition 2 to determine the state and local matching share. 2 of those data points we would intend to obtain directly from the California Department of Education. Those are the district's enrollment and also the district's unduplicated pupil percentage. The other 2 data points would be the policy we recommend for the board's adoption. Those pieces of information we would request from school districts at the time the application is ready for processing. The first is a letter from the County Auditor Controller certifying the school district's current year assessed valuation, and the second would be a copy of any applicable project labor agreement for the project. Under the proposed policy, OPSC staff would request that information from the district at the time the application is notified that it will be processed within 90 days. If the school district is unable to provide the requested information within that time frame, they would not receive the points in that points-based determination that are associated with those 2 data elements. Topic number 5 is financial hardship assistance. Proposition 2 increases the maximum bonding capacity a school district may have in order to qualify for financial hardship assistance from $5 million to $15 million, and that amount will be adjusted annually moving forward. This is an informational update. There's no recommended policy for board consideration. OPSC will apply the new threshold immediately to all applications that request financial hardship assistance and are received on or after October 31st, 2024. We would note that school districts that may have submitted an application on or before October 30th, 2024, who wish to be considered for financial hardship assistance under this new criteria must withdraw their existing application and resubmit for that consideration. For purposes of presentation, to make this a little shorter, I will take up topics 6, 7, and 8 together. Proposition 2 establishes numerous new funding opportunities for school districts via the school facility program. In part, it authorizes new modernization supplemental grants for minimum essential facilities, transitional kindergarten classrooms, and career technical education facilities and equipment. It also authorizes new supplemental grants for new construction and modernization projects that include energy efficient components as specified. And it also provides additional funding for school districts that are seeking to replace a building that is at least 75 years old. For all of these provisions of Proposition 2, staff has recommended board policies that at a high level would establish a requirement that the scope of work for which a school district is requesting any of this supplemental funding must already be reflected in the CDE and DSA approved plans submitted at the time the application for funding is filed with the Office of Public School Construction. Essentially, the rationale here is to ensure that there is an equal playing field and that we do not have potential line jumping in which a school district may hold a place in line based on a certain submittal date while contracting for design and undergoing scope changes that would impact the amount of funding available for the project as well as the timing of when that project could access funding relative to other districts. Finally, topic 9 is interim housing for a governor-declared state of emergency. Proposition 2 provides the board new authority to provide assistance for procuring interim housing or any other assistance to a school district that has facilities impacted by a natural disaster for which the governor has declared a state of emergency. Staff's recommended board policy would be that the board review and consider these requests on a case-by-case basis using the existing appeal process until such time that stakeholder meetings and input has been obtained and proposed regulations are presented in the future for the board's consideration. Our recommendation for this item is for the board adoption of the policies outlined in this item and summarized in attachment B for school facility program applications received on or after October 31st, 2024, until the effective date of regulations implementing the board policies and any changes that are identified through the stakeholder process. We also would recommend that the board request staff to bring back proposed regulatory amendments for board approval and submittal to the Office of Administrative Law. Happy to address any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a lot, and I appreciate the thorough walkthrough in such a concise way. With that, are there any comments or questions from board members first? Okay, I'm seeing none. We will go ahead and move to public comment. I would note I have one public comment card here on this item. Alan Rising from the Coalition for Adequate School Housing, if you'd like to come up to the mic and
Absolutely.
provide your public comment.
So thank you very much, Honorable Board. My name is Alan Rising. I'm the current chair of the Coalition for Adequate School Housing, CASH. So I'll keep my comment short today. Just an opportunity to come together and recognize and celebrate the passage of Prop 2 and really thank all of the elected officials and everyone up and down the state that really worked hard to ensure that this proposition was passed, bringing much needed dollars to our schools and the needy schools we have up and down the state. Also to reaffirm and redouble our commitment as CASH to engage with the Office of Public School Construction and this board to ensure that the regulations that are adopted and implemented in this program are really best suited to meet the needs of all of our schools up and down the state and to address the majority of the students in our community. So we're here today to really celebrate and renew our partnership and reaffirm that we're here to commit and work together to ensure that Prop 2 brings the best improvements to our schools up and down the state. So thank you all. Appreciate the time, and I really appreciate the effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the comments. That's the only comment card I have on this item. However, are there any other public comments, either here in the room or online? Okay. All right. Seeing none, this is an action item, so is there a motion for the recommended, staff recommendations?
So moved.
Moved by Assemblymember Marisucci, sorry. Is there a second? Second by Member Smith. If we could go ahead and call the roll, please.
Will do. Assemblymember Marisucci?
Aye.
Marisucci, aye. Assemblymember Davies?
Aye.
Davies, aye. Assemblymember Alvarez?
Aye.
Alvarez, aye. Juan Morales?
Aye.
Morales, aye. Jeremy Smith?
Aye.
Smith, aye. Ana Lasso?
Aye.
Lasso, aye. Michelle Peralt?
Aye.
Peralt, aye. That motion carries.
Thank you so very much. With that, we'll go ahead and move on to our next item. Ms. Kirk, I believe it's our information items.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The reports, discussion, and information items are on stamped pages 275 through 321 of today's agenda. I'm happy to address any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Are there any comments or questions from the board? All right, seeing none, are there any public comments on this item? Okay, seeing none, this is not an action item, so we'll go ahead and move forward. Before we adjourn, are there any other public comments on items not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, then we can go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 3:42.
Happy holidays, everybody.
You too. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays. Bye-bye.
Holidays. Bye-bye.